Hello and a very warm welcome to the Insider SA, your guide to living better. Join us today as we open up to finding sanctuary with a French-South African couple deciding a caravan in the country is how they'll put down their roots. Architect Anthony Orelowitz beats the threat of blindness to build his oasis in the city. Our next generation finds sanctuary between the covers of a book. Designer Cara Masureik creates a big impression inside a small student space. The Groenewalds make an art form of their wallpaper business, a showpiece of their home. And vintage clothing shop owner turned celebrated furniture maker Carmit Bamberger shares the joy of investing in classic designs. Building Our Way Home is the title of a blog by a French-South African 30-something couple whose idea of sanctuary is a self-sufficient caravan turned home, out in the glory of nature.
Hey there, Insider SA, and welcome to our little heaven on earth.
Come inside.
So Alice and I met at a comedy club actually, because I'm a comedian and she likes comedy. From there our relationship grew, and during COVID we decided that we need to come up with a plan to get out of the city.
Currently we own the plot we're currently staying. A bit after we got this caravan that we renovated with the help of friends, and more recently we also got the plot next door to kind of go a bit more crazy on the plan idea.
I'm originally from Cape Town, so I'm a local.
And I'm from France, I'm not so local. I came in South Africa for the first time about 8 years ago, and I obviously didn't know Ambrose back then, but then I kind of fell in love with the people, the landscape, and the realness of everything, the struggles, the beauty, the joy, everything is real here.
Though Alice is a PhD in climate sciences and Ambrose a popular performer, the choice of home arose from asking, what if we're both out of work?
The experience of living off-grid in a tiny home it's quite a challenge. It's not for the faint-hearted. Every day there's another challenge to take on. But there's so much beauty in that as well at the same time. Like when I open the door and I just get a gush of like, the outdoor life is just like extraordinary. Every morning, sunrise is just amazing. So for me, that's the benefit of it as well. Soaking up where we are and the environment.
For me, the real benefit in living in a small space is how we actually learn about each other a lot more. We've kind of created everything from scratch. The care we give into the home, you know, there's a lot of love.
It's ours, and you know, it's as little as it is, it means so much more in the bigger scheme of things. So you learn to appreciate that the small things matter. In the front of the caravan we have our kitchen, and that's got one oven and a 3-plate stove. Got a fridge as well, and a basin. Next to the kitchen we have a little toilet where our compost toilet is. And then moving on to where I am seated right now, this is our dining, seating,
office.
It's a multi-use space. Behind me, we've got the bedroom. One step away is the bedroom, with also a lot of storage space underneath, and our own personal clothing sections as well above that.
The renovation process took about 2 months. We really didn't have much plan. We knew how we wanted to look like, but then we had to work with what we had.
In the renovation, some of the things that we added was a lot of plywood. We kind of felt that the plywood was going to give us a nice finish.
Once the space was completed, it was very important for us to make this place very homely. So we've added some handmade gifts, for instance, from my sister here, some plants to make it warm and cozy, so that it's really comforting to be in this space.
One thing we like doing here is building our own things, and today we're going to build a little bird box. First step, search for an idea on the internet. Second step, cut all your pieces of wood to size. Third step, assemble all your pieces with screws. Check that they fit though, before you do that.
I like to calculate things and make sure it's all going to fit. And Ambrose is more like going with the flow.
Improv.
Kind of, yeah.
Pow, pow, pow. Yeah, improv. I just go with the flow. So If it's a bit skew, it's probably my fault. But yeah, we can calculate that afterwards.
Yeah, this is teamwork. Makes the dream work. The sides are up, now only the roof to go.
And the last step, fill it up with seeds and watch the birds come. Yeah!
Yes!
Cuckoo, cuckoo!
With a host of other seeds, they're making the most of the winter rain to sow as many plants and vegetables as they can.
So when we first got to the plot, it was literally just bush, and we had to clear all of that with the help of some of our friends to get it, just to see the plot that we were working with. At the moment, we have honeysuckles, we've got some succulents, we've got proteas, we've got a wide range of plants that we've kind of got cuttings from all over, and then we've also got a veggie garden at the back, which it's got some lettuce in it, there's some fennel growing. We catch all our rainwater in 20-litre buckets because our water tanks aren't fitted with gutters yet, and then that's what we use for the plants if it's not raining. The part that I like most about living off the land is we just really enjoy being around plants and absorbing nature.
Every day, Alice's doctorate in how our climate functions is put to first-hand practical use, and Ambrose can see the results.
The dream that we envision for the plot is really just to be an oasis of beautiful plants. Just from left to right, we want people to come in and go, wow, this is, you've worked on this, you know, and that's the dream. And eventually for our food garden, the dream is to get it fully functional, to get it going so that we can actually come and get our produce and, you know, not have to go to markets and things all the time. Both of us are vegan, and for us it just makes more sense that we learn to grow our own food, and we can grow our own food. So we've collected a lot of seeds, and we look forward to growing and eating and consuming what we've grown.
Proving that vegans also do delicious. They keep their rescue puppy Bonnie well entertained with new recipes.
So both Ambrose and I, we love cooking, and we can fetch things from the garden directly, herbs especially, and then any kind of veggies you can grow, salads, and the plan is really to be full on and consuming as much as we can from the garden. Today we'll be making a vegan chocolate cake. It's usually like a mug cake kind of recipe. The process is very simple. You can directly make it in your mug itself. You mix the dry ingredients, flour, cocoa powder, custard, brown sugar, salt, and baking powder. And then you can add the wet ingredient. You can use any kind of milk alternative, or you can also use water. You don't need, just something to bind. And a bit of oil, 2 tablespoons, just to add the right amount of fat that you need in a cake. It must be, you know, soothing. And the star ingredient is dark pieces of chocolate here. One very important challenge in this recipe is the fire itself. You've got to have a lot of patience because you can't measure the temperature really. So you have to gauge and put the knife through and see if it's cooked. Patience is key.
So, there's an element of trial and error, which only adds spice to the mix.
Et voilà, mon amour, the food is ready. I think we've waited a bit too long on the cake. I think we left it a bit. But fine. You know what? Food is food. Chocolate is always delicious. So let's check it out.
Let's dig in. It's perfectly fine. Woohoo! You see, the bottom is not too bad at all. Yeah, the middle is actually quite banging. Oh man. Yes. But what can I say? That is proof that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. This cake is, it looked burnt on the outside, but on the inside, wholesome and good. Just like our little plot over here. Thank you, my love.
You're welcome.
Ambrose and Alice find sanctuary in each other. Their life is the perfect expression of their relationship with themselves and with their environment. Coming up, from a business her granddad set up last century, Carmit Bamberger reinvents classics for the next 100 years. If you take comfort in furniture passed down through generations, the stories in vintage pieces, and how family businesses are reinvented to stay relevant, then this is for you. Carmit Bamberger's life and her reproduction furniture business encompasses it all.
Hi guys, my name is Carmit. I'm the owner of Miller's Antiques. Welcome to my store. The history actually goes back quite some time. We think around 90 years or so. My grandfather, Simon Miller, was a Russian Jew who arrived in South Africa at the beginning of the last century. He set up a business in downtown Johannesburg selling office furniture, and he did that for quite a few years. And eventually he transformed that second-hand office furniture business into Miller's Antiques. My personal style is definitely part of my journey from my father's time through to where I am now. I'm very much influenced by history. I love the vintage look, but I also love combining that with very modern touches. So I love an eclectic look.
She's ably assisted in creating her many pieces by a team of expert craftspeople.
Yeah, my job here is to prepare and make French polishing. As you can see, I'm preparing this piece. I'm gonna finish it in the mid mahogany color. The other thing as I'm doing now, I'm just trying to make it smooth so that when the polish comes on top, then everything goes smooth.
Finishes also constantly evolve with demand.
Over here, we've got Victor and Polite. They're doing a monocoat finish, which is a completely different look to the French polish. It's an eco-friendly, natural product that gives the furniture a very organic look. Everything that we do here is as it was done over 100 years ago. So hand-carved, hand-finished, very sort of authentic element to everything that's done.
Current orders include pieces for a tailoring business in Pretoria, a formal lounge in KZN, and a restaurant in the DRC. While for this home in Joburg, popular interiors guru Lindy Ferreira joined the team to bring her expertise.
As a decorator, I don't have a very specific style. I think it's the aesthetic in the way that I do things. So her furniture, I can manipulate and I can change it. So for one client, I can do one sort of look, and for another client, maybe like this client, I can do gold. And that's the advantage. The walls were plain, so what we did was we chose this wallpaper. It's a William Morris wallpaper. We wanted to use these kind of rich classic colors, so I've used velvet on these chairs, and we can finish them, as you can see, in the gold. We've done this cream sofa, so it's a combination of being quiet and maybe a bit more opulent and a bit loud. These tables, you can actually pull out and put them next to that person that's having tea. And so that's the result.
To make her point that in furniture, more or more fancy is not necessarily better, Carmit invited us to her place, which she shares with her partner of 43 years.
Welcome to our home. This is my husband.
My name is Saul. Come right on in and let's show you how we make things really special with our furniture.
The house is a combination of old historical pieces that we actually bought from the original Miller's Antiques 40 years ago, mixed with the new genre that we've gotten into, which is the reproduction painted furniture. This is a beautiful mahogany mirror that my husband bought me for my birthday. And these chairs are Victorian as well as the mirror. This is a reproduction chiffonier, and this table is also a reproduction piece. It's a solid mahogany French style dining room table. We call it an extension table because it has a few different sizes. It comes with a crank and you can open and close it.
In producing furniture or collecting it, their idea is to buy once, be conscious of sustainability, and that classic style endures.
Welcome to our bedroom. This beautiful bed is called the Zeus bed. I absolutely love the rattan, and I love the vintage black polish with a little bit of a copper detail to it. Here is an exquisite Regency rattan mahogany berger chair, which we inherited from my father after he passed away. And it's just an exquisite example of that period, the simplicity and elegance. Sometimes we have to sell a piece of furniture in our house because we've run out of stock, and we have to replace it with something. And we're so excited about this recent one because we had a fabulous day bed in our window, and we've replaced it with this beautiful couch. We call it the Neoclassic. It's part of our latest collection, and we feel, particularly with our own house, that there's a very strong vintage element to the house, and we would like to introduce some cleaner, simpler lines.
With new ideas and bold use of social media, business is booming.
When I took it over, of course, I had to think of a way to bring it into the current genre that we find ourselves in terms of decorating. It was an exciting challenge led by my husband, who introduced the element of painting the furniture.
So yes, it was more the painting brought in the French style. And what has been most exciting, I think, for us recently is bringing in the natural wood finishes, more contemporary designs in fabric to update and reset the classic vintage look into a more modern context. And I like the fact that we're learning new things, that we're evolving. Our home actually is always evolving. It's been evolving for many years to get to where it is now, and I don't think we're finished.
Much as they love the vintage, these two find a sense of sanctuary in change. They refuse to be caught in just one frame of this movie called life. Just ahead, getting more kids reading in their mother tongue will mean more young achievers like designer Cara Masureik. Whichever success our children dream of, their chances increase beyond all measure once they can read. It teaches them to think, ask questions, suggest answers, and offers sanctuary in books. So, getting them reading is the Bookery's Zulfa Budik and Lunga Kadolo's mission.
The Bookery creates libraries in underprivileged schools within the South African townships. We are currently found in 3 provinces, the Western Cape, Eastern Cape, and Gauteng. We partner with schools in creating the library, and then we employ a youth from the community. We train them to be able to work in the library and run programs for the kids to cultivate a love for reading.
67% of children under 12 cannot read. And that is why the work that the Bookery does, putting libraries in underprivileged schools, giving access to children that did not have access to books or libraries before, is extremely important. Because before you can do anything else, you have to be able to read.
The partnership with Capitec helps the Bookery greatly. We're currently creating 2 libraries in Arcadia Primary School in Pontiville and Aron Ngadu in KwaZakhele, Gqeberha. With them coming on board, they're helping us cover books for these libraries, and they're also partnering with the Bookery with funding to help us create active spaces within these schools.
As part of their 67 Minutes for Mandela, Capitec Live Better partnered up with Exclusive Books to donate books to the value of 1,000 Rand for every one of their staff who volunteered by reading to children and covering books.
So at the Bookery today, really our focus is to cover 4,500 books. So this is quite exciting for the team. I can't wait to see the kids' faces and the excitement on them when these books get delivered.
What unites Capitec staff members is the fact that as much as we all come from different backgrounds, different upbringings, but when we get to our branches, we speak the same language, we share the same values, which also forms part of our CEO behaviors. So I think that, in a nutshell, sums up what always brings us together.
So do the ways that they're giving back to their greater client family on what's fast become the favorite day of the month.
Live Better Day on the 10th of every month is a Capitec client money-in feeling. That means we celebrate and honor our clients with cashback, not only for just banking with us, but also for spending at our partners. It's almost a second payday. Imagine if the middle of the month, your bank actually gave you something back for banking with us. So you can see why this 10th of every month is starting to become such a great initiative for us. What we've decided to do this Live Better Day is start our relationship with exclusive books. This exciting partnership gives all of our clients 10% on everything in exclusive bookstores, both online and in-store.
Getting more people of every age reading is the goal of Exclusive Books marketing manager Tashata Majaye, and she now has a dream ally.
The fit between Capitec and Exclusive Books was seamless because both brands are interested in giving value back to their customers. And during these turbulent times, you find that people are looking for an outlet, and reading provides that outlet. Whether you're looking to get lost in a world of fantasy or you are looking for tools to empower yourself, all in all, reading helps you to be better and to live better. Literacy is the cornerstone of knowledge, and we all know that knowledge is power. As we build the future generation, we would like them to come up with sustainable solutions for the future. We would like them to build a better tomorrow, a better South Africa. And the only way we can ensure that happens is investing in them at grassroots level.
Along with new titles as part of their 67 Minutes for Mandela initiative, the Capitec team also delivered previously loved children's books. Principal Paulina Tenyane welcomed them all.
As a community site, we can't afford to buy any learning material, especially books. So we are grateful and thankful as Hope Daycare to be donated books, to learn, to stimulate from those books.
Cutie wooty, coochie coochie coo, cuddly waddly. I'm not cute, I'm dangerous, Fifi snapped.
Towards the end of the day, what we did is one of our team members read a story to the children, asked them a few questions to make sure they were listening, which they were, and then from there we donated a few books.
Hope Daycare staff and committee like to thank Capitec and Exclusive Books. Thank you so much for selecting us, for nominating us, for coming and visit and spend a day with us, and also donating books. Books are just treasure to us.
That's what Live Better is about for us, and that's why we've also partnered with someone like Exclusive Books. Use your Capitec card in-store, online, and get this great benefit for you, your family, if there's somebody that you'd like to bless with the book or help out. So it's real rewards, it's real cashback for our clients, and it's really simple.
Like everyone who wrapped books, donated or brought new ones for this initiative, you may want to create your own Live Better legacy for others. If so, to give your volunteer work a boost, start with a chance of winning a 1,000 Rand Live Better cash prize. Simply reply to the competition post on the insidersa.co.za social media platforms using hashtag #CapitecLiveBetter. Interior designer Cara Masureik began her career on the ground floor, a showroom selling furniture. 15 years on, her own company is responsible for the full interior architecture to decor service on blocks of 50 apartments or more.
I grew up surrounded by creativity. All the women in my family are really amazing with their hands and making things. So my love of art and the performing arts really started at a young age. So when it came time to decide what I was going to study at the end of high school, it was just a natural inclination for me to want to do something creative. It was my father who was kind of saying, well, please just go and do a degree first. So the combination of what I've studied, the business and the interiors, has really paved the way for me starting and running my own business. My style leans more towards like a Scandi interior. I love crisp white walls, solid wooden floors, high volumes, expansive light, earthy tones, and just honest materials, looking at concrete mixed with steel, mixed with wood. Texture is very important to me. And I do love color, but I prefer creating a neutral palette as your foundation. And then I bring the color in through the decor. So wallpapers, scatter cushions, art, and those items are interchangeable. So if you want to follow the trends, you can refresh your space by swapping things out and changing those.
Less obvious is how to achieve that sense of room to breathe, which Cara does, sourcing the best local design to do it.
The brief was to create high-end luxury apartments, and in doing that, a lot of inspiration was sourced from Europe. Clean lines, contemporary finishes, muted, pared-down tones. Every inch of the apartment has been considered, and only the finest quality materials have been sourced. With smaller apartments, it's so important to create an illusion of space, and I think we've achieved that really well. In this apartment, you'll notice that the ceiling heights are over 2.7 high, and these door openings are not your standard 2.1 openings. They're 2.4 high, which really takes your eye upwards and creates the illusion of space. And with the splashback in the kitchen, it's smoked mirror. So that really creates an illusion of space, and it reflects and refracts the light. The interior decor ties in with the design of the apartment. It's all very contemporary and high-end. And if you look at the selection of furniture, I've mixed the materials to create a lot of depth and interest. So the rattan on the bench with the black marble and the ceramics mixed with the soft of the fabric. And even the color palette subtly works together. So there's a bit of blue and brassy tones in the artwork that can then be picked up in the rug and the objet. In the bedroom, a notable design element is the high ceiling. And if you look at the joinery, the cupboards go full height, which really creates volume and space. Even the curtain tracks are ceiling mounted, so you just get a sheer drop of fabric, which is really important when you're dealing with smaller spaces. With the decor, I've used a monochromatic background and then offset pops of color and mixed materials like the timber and the marble to create a warm and inviting space.
Most challenging and rewarding has been how to create the feeling of room to breathe for a group of Stellenbosch students.
The developer came to me with a brief. They had a concept for a really new, dynamic sort of student accommodation. So I wanted to create a space that really appeals to a young audience. That was done through use of bold colors, creating a high energy environment, and then actually looking at how students live and work and creating functional spaces around that. As you enter, you arrive at the chill lounge, and here I've created different seating arrangements that really promote connectivity and interaction between the students. For example, the booths where you can have a one-on-one interaction. Or at the cafe area, there's a high counter seat where you can grab a coffee, set up your laptop, plug in and play.
Sometimes thinking outside the box means redefining what the box is and what it's there for.
I absolutely love this space because of this natural light source. In the original building, it was a bit of a wasted space in the sense that it was just an extension of the passage. So I've created a breakout space here with seating where you can come and sit and have coffee with a friend and look back at the chill lounge. Given the opportunity, I love product design, and a lot of attention to detail has gone into every element within the space. For example, I'd custom designed this wallpaper graphic. And I also designed all the rugs in the space to bring in the color palette of the project and bring in pattern and energy. This is one of my favorite room types. This is called the bunker, and I've designed this bunk bed which incorporates a sleep space with a workspace below, which really maximizes the use of space in this room. In all the room types, I've used very high-end finishes, like this beautiful natural stone countertop. I've also used a lot of wood accents to bring in warmth, and green, which is very soothing and calming in a living space. What I really loved about this project was that I was given a blank canvas and a logo, and I had free rein to design it as I wished. And it's really exciting as an interior designer to bring a space to life in a 3D capacity.
Whether it's a retreat, hideout, space to think, or what we all want, a place to be me, Cara seems to have the sanctuary just for you. Right after this, to create a unique, made-to-order sanctuary of every room in the house, start with the wallpaper. This is the Groenewalds Family Retreat, home to the husband and wife team of fashion designer Alana and printing professional Jan, a couple who began designing and producing their own wallpaper to brighten their living spaces, and soon made a successful business of it. Today, their house is its greatest showpiece.
Hi, the Insider SA. Welcome to our home. Come on in. This home was built in the early 1920s, so it is close to 100 years old. And we knew in buying such an old home, it had a lot of work. It's never actually been renovated properly before we moved in. So we had a lot to do, but we love a story and we love history, and especially the character in an old home is what drew us in initially. You know, we kept the wooden floors, we kept some of the original arches and alcoves, but we just needed to make the space a bit more livable, free-flowing, comfortable for us as a family, and also allow our businesses to have a home to grow.
To even make an offer on this early 20th century beauty would require a good friend with an even better sense of timing.
We have lived in Strand for a few years before we came across this home. We often drove past and saw the lush garden and a beautiful old home with a lot of potential. It was never actually on the market, so we were very lucky in a sense that we knew someone who knocked on the door and asked if the previous owner would ever be willing to part with the house. And she said that she's had many previous requests similar to that, but she was finally ready to let it go because the maintenance of the house was just becoming too much for her. And needless to say, we came to view the house that exact same day, and we put in an offer the next.
Huge fans of the garden, the Groenewalds wanted the interiors to echo the outdoors.
I've used a combination of different plants and decor elements in this space. There is the dried flowers, which I love using because they last forever. Then we've also got cut branches from penny gum trees, as well as the potted plants. And I think together it really creates a lush green feel, combined with the locally sourced baskets and the organic, fabrics used on the cushions. I think it's an easy space, yet feels luxurious. I've also got a bit of quirkiness when it comes to my decor style, and I've incorporated that by bringing in some prints from a local artist, and they are fun to look at and interesting, and they still work with the rest of the color scheme and vibe of the space. The kitchen is the space where we often host our dinner parties and get together with friends, and we try to really keep this space warm and inviting. And I've used elements such as the exposed brick wall, like a wooden table, Persian carpet, to create an inviting feel. We've got large black pendants over the table, the candle holders, the cabinet doors. I had the handles actually powder coated into that kind of dusty gold color, and again a lot of fresh plants and greenery.
It was a juggle between renovation, running 2 businesses, and bringing home a newborn baby.
For the kids' room, we really wanted to stay with the same look and feel as with the rest of the house. So starting with David's room, we kept the natural tones, a pop of color. We also incorporated a beautiful wallpaper, but not wanting to do the full wall, we actually just did the strip above the dado rail. Some of the elements we've used are, again, a lot of baskets to store his toys. You know, he's got a lot of sports equipment, so I think it works well as storage. And then a little table that actually comes from my childhood that he's now using to do his homework and his coloring in. Hannah's room, in contrast to David's room, is a much smaller space, so we really needed to think wisely about the furniture pieces. We started off actually designing this beautiful accent wall for her. It was custom designed by her dad, and we added a little bunny, you know, because we call her Honey Bunny, but also something that is relevant for a 4-year-old, but again, I think can age with her and remain beautiful for years to come. We kept it simple with just the bed, some storage baskets, and a sentimental dressing table from my great-grandmother.
They've complemented the antiques by bringing epic new naturescapes into each room.
Right next to the foyer, as you enter the front door, is my favorite room. It is my bedroom, and it's a space I love to relax in. It is light and airy, and I love spending time here. The star of the show is definitely the wallpaper. We chose a very bold, dramatic, dark floral, and it didn't actually need much else, so we kept the rest of the decor very minimalist, hanging pendants, floating bedside tables, which are offcuts from our kitchen counter, and a natural kind of bed setting with some terracotta and pinks and a cute polka dot kind of circular theme.
Before they even began on the house, a key piece of the renovation was a new home studio for Alana.
I'm a wedding dress designer specializing in custom designed gowns for brides. It is an amazing job to be a part of someone's, you know, special wedding day. It's an intimate journey with a woman, and I get to meet the most amazing people and just create beautiful products every single day. Entering through the sewing room, we are now in my studio, which is a space that I use to design and make wedding gowns. I meet with my clients for consultation sessions and also do their fittings in here. For my business, I needed quite a lot of space to accommodate the different aspects of being a fashion designer, and we used this blank canvas and just added lots of soft furnishes and pinks to create quite a feminine space.
It feels right that a wallpaper enterprise begun at home now sees that house as its greatest advert.
The original idea of Groen originated when friends of ours were busy with a renovation project, and we realized with my printing experience and Alana's creative background, that's something that we could assist with, and that was our first project, and that's where the whole Groen idea originated from. It's a fairly easy process to apply the wallpaper. You would need a heavy-duty wall paste, which you can get from your local hardware supplier. And then what you would need is a scraper. You would apply the glue to the wall and then roll out your wallpaper, and that would be applied and then smoothed out with the scraper.
Putting up their famous product was a lot less stressful than getting plans approved by the Renaissance and Heritage Foundation. But on balance, they came out smiling.
Making a home unique is so important because it is a reflection of who we are as a family, and it needs to work for everyone's needs and requirements. And we really enjoy spending time in this home and everyone having their space to be creative and free and just enjoy being together. Balancing being a mom and working from home, I think it's just important to kind of manage the time perfectly, but also it's a privilege because you get to kind of manage everything at the same time. You're around when the kids need you, but you can also catch up on some working hours late at night when they're asleep. So it really makes perfect sense for us as a family.
Enjoying pride of place is Alana's piano, once her grandmother's.
We've really tried to create an environment which is not only multifunctional, but it's also really conducive to each of us growing into our own, you know, each person in this household having a space to be creative, to work, to learn, to play. And this home to us is truly unique, and I think everyone should have the opportunity to bring their own uniqueness into a living space and really honor that.
Creativity and family are what make for sanctuary in the Groenewald home. Still to come, a visionary oasis which almost never was when architect Anthony Orelowitz stared blindness in the face.
Sponsored by Capitec. Simplify banking. Live better.
When Anthony Orelowitz decided to build a new home, he turned to a man renowned for designing commercial buildings, but who hadn't done a house in 15 years. He was that man.
Welcome to Insider SA. My name is Anthony Orelowitz. I'm the Chief Designer and Owner of Paragon Architects. This is my house, and I'd like to show you around.
Without mountain or sea, Joburg homes must create their own habitat. Anthony learned this growing up there.
So my passion for architecture started at as far back as I can recall. Even at nursery school, when other kids were playing on the playing field, I was busy arranging blocks and making spaces for people to inhabit. But my parents built a house when I was about 7, and going to the site and seeing what is happening on the site and seeing them working with the architect, I decided at the age of 7 I wanted to be an architect, and that's all I've ever wanted to be. I think when it comes to issues around aesthetics, it's quite a difficult space. I think when I look to design a house or a building, I'm trying to evoke a sense of emotion through the physical space that we create. So in a house like this, I was trying to create a space that is full of serenity. It was going to be my oasis within the city.
The design takes sanctuary in the water and plant life that runs through and surrounds it on every side.
So this is really the entrance of the house. In terms of the driveway, we've used 2 different kinds of slate, which have been hand-laid to form a pattern of where the cars, or how we predict the cars to move through the space. So the entrance to the house has got a causeway which links you from the inside to the outside across this body of water. This water has really been raised by about 800 millimeters, so that when you sit inside the building, instead of looking down on the water feature, you look across it and into the planting that sits on the edge of the water feature itself. So the house was a new build from scratch, and the idea for me was really to build a house which was a series of pavilions that utilized the full site. So even the edges of the sites became external rooms, and the heart of the house is really the centralized courtyard. But all the spaces around that centralized courtyard opened up onto back spaces. So the house was completely connected from one edge to the other, with this green belt running through it and these freestanding pavilions engaging within that space. The aesthetics driven by a very tactile sense of material. So the walls have got a patina on them, and they have a texture on them. And then the range of materials are really glass and steel, concrete, like really quite tactile and natural materials. So this is the central area of the house. It's the main courtyard. It's where all the main bedrooms and the main living areas open up to on the ground floor. Behind me, you can see a staircase which goes to the upper level, and its balustrade is really designed as a series of planters with succulents. The water feature on this edge has been raised out the ground and relates to the bedroom area and the courtyard that makes up between the bathroom and the main bedroom area. So you can see that in this house, the pool is raised above the ground. It's on the first floor. And this really allows for the ground plane or the garden of the central courtyard to seem much longer and to almost extend from edge of property to edge of property. There are 3 portholes in the bottom of the pool. What that does is it allows light to filter through to the lower levels so that the dining area or the external eating area under the pool always has mottled light in it.
It lends a constantly moving aquamarine glow to the downstairs, while above deck, the mosaic design seen at the bottom of the pool was inspired by maps of the world's oceans. Interior designer Julia Day gave us a tour of this upstairs adult treehouse and an epic spot to roast a few marshmallows.
We have a huge big fire pit which is surrounded almost like a cowl that comes down from the roof, which I was influenced by one of Gia Ponti's designs for that. And it actually creates kind of a huddling space. So within this huge big flowing house, it actually created like a little cocooning experience for you where you can actually sit around the fire and be together. So from the get-go, the bathrooms for me were going to be one of the key features of the home. Anthony said he would like to feel that he was at a spa when he comes home. And I think that kind of was the approach that I took towards the bathrooms. When you are in the space of the bathrooms, the doors actually fold away and you can be feeling that you are outside.
The privilege of being able to bring all this visionary design to life is so precious to Anthony because he nearly lost it. A multi-award winning run of commercial designs almost never were due to a serious health scare.
One of the biggest drivers of my career has been that in my final year of architecture, I lost my eyesight. I went blind for about 3 or 4 months during my thesis, and the doctors could never tell whether when my eyesight returned, it didn't return completely, and they were concerned that it would be a degenerative disease called retinitis pigmentosa. And so I needed a 5-year window to test whether it was degenerative or whether it was a one-off occurrence. So when I finished architecture, I practiced for 1 year, and then I went and did an MBA just to kind of build another competency in case my eyes were proven to have a problem. And after that, the day those 5 years were over, I went back to practice architecture. But it's interesting that sometimes through things which are or can be perceived as negative in one's life, in the longer term, they add value to your career and give you extra knowledge and strengthen really my ability to practice.
Life wanted to see what Anthony had to offer, and architecture is much richer for it.
Thank you, the Insider SA. I really enjoyed taking you through my house. I hope you have too. I hope to see you soon. Thanks for your time. I have to go back to work.
A good thing too, for the many who get to live and work in the spaces Anthony's created. Get more of the Insider SA online. Follow, connect, engage, and be inspired to live better with the Insider SA. Watch the show Monday evenings at 6, repeat Saturday at 1 on S3.